right, and welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast, episode 8. We read through chapters 31 to 34 this week. I
Wait,
am Midnight.
34. Oh no.
Did you read chapter 34?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I am Midnight, and I'm here with Darkness
Hi.
and Mythic.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, we're recording this literally 2 days before Christmas. Good times. And yeah, we'll go straight in. So a lot happened, I feel like, this
Mm-hmm.
episode.
Nah. It was mostly
I
fillers.
I totally did not just listen/read this in the last hour.
God.
Nah.
Yep.
It was
Uh,
mostly fillers anyway, so.
Power read this book. The fact that I could get through 4 chapters in an hour should tell you how fast I could get through this entire book if I needed
yeah, no, I'm usually pretty fast at reading too.
to. I was like,
Uh,
scan, 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 scan.
but yeah, so we start here with Vivenna's point of view.
Mhm.
She's with the mercenary group, except for Parlin, who has stayed back at the house, because Dent was worried about having that extra person to keep track of. And
Mhm.
Dent is trying to convince Vivenna to meet with the leaders separately and not go into the slums to see the Idrians. Vivenna notes that she is their princess, and Idrians pay attention to their people, unlike Halandrin, which Jewel snorts at. They don't have the best relationship, the two of them.
Mm-mm.
Um, and so yeah, so they're going into the slums, and Vivenna becomes worried for her people living amongst gangs and prostitutes. However, Dent tells her that this is actually the Idrian quarter, and her people are the gangs and prostitutes. Um, and Dent notes that often immigrant quarters in cities are neglected by the people running the cities, as they're considered less important than other sections of the city for maintenance and such, and so they get run down and become slums a lot of the time. So Vivenna then gets angry and blames Halandrin for how her people have changed, uh, and why have I repeated that? Sorry, my sentence made no
Interesting.
sense there in my notes. But yeah, so she's angry at how her people have changed because of Halandrin in the city. And she does her best to keep her hatred though and her hair under control as they meet up with Thame. So quick question here is: do you think Halandrin is fully to blame for the Idrian situation?
Hmm. I low-key think yeah, because obviously they would want to, suppress people that don't have the views that they have. So it makes sense that they just, avoid helping or, pressure them into being in not such good circumstances.
What do you think, Mythic?
I mean, I agree, but I mean, I also think that, it's a big city. It'd be really hard to look after everybody, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, like Dent kind of notes that I feel like this happens in pretty much all cities. I don't know if it's
Hmm.
specifically like a Halandrin issue like Vivenna wants to think it is. I feel like this is maybe just yeah, you prioritize the needs of your people over the random immigrant quarters of the city,
Yep.
and they kind of just
Exactly.
unfortunately get run down like this. And it would
Unfortunately, money runs the world.
Yep. So yeah, so they meet up with Thame, who leads them to a park, which is a plot of land strewn with garbage. Uh, and they find a group of people waiting around. Vivenna forces a smile, changes her hair to blonde, and begins trying to greet them. However, the Idrians don't really want comfort or promises of going back to Idris. They just wanted to kind of see that she was really here, and they don't really seem that interested in her. Thame calls them patriots, but Vivenna thinks that they are barely even Idrians anymore. And she gives up on speaking to them and goes to meet with the three leaders instead. So yeah, what were your impressions of these random Idrian people? Is this how you expected this meeting to go?
I mean, kind of, yeah.
I didn't. I low-key thought they would want, to step up and do stuff, but
Definitely wasn't what Vivenna expected.
I mean,
yeah.
I thought it was a trap, just like Dent did. So,
I thought it was a trap at the beginning too, but I mean, like when she got there and started speaking, low-key expected like a better reaction, and it just didn't happen. So I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
Mm,
It was
yeah.
kind of awkward.
I think
Uh,
she handles it real good,
yeah,
in my opinion.
she's just like, yeah, I'm just okay. They don't care. I'm just gonna go talk to the leaders now.
But even when talking to the leaders, though, I think she handles it extremely well, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, so then we get to meet the three slumlords. So there's Paxson, the gentleman Indrian who runs brothels. Ashu, who runs underground fighting rings, where people watch Idrians beat each other into unconsciousness. Great. And we don't really get much about Rira other than she's Thame's employer. Or sorry, she. I don't know why I keep assuming Rira is a girl. Rira is Thame's employer. And they're all men, I believe. Rira states that they are happy to meet their princess, and Vivenna states that war is coming, which Rira agrees, but Ashu is not convinced of. They ask Vivenna. They ask if Vivenna wants an Idrian on the throne, which Vivenna states she just wants her people to survive. They're not really happy with her kind of wishy-washy attitude. They're like, yeah, that's not gonna work really. And Paxton says Idris will need a military in the city to assure freedom for their people. And Var is also brought up briefly, because I think we were told that they had kind of all uh, kind of supported Var previously.
Mhm.
And they ask if Vivenna will be handing out titles, and I think is it Rira who wants Faffin's hand in marriage? They're like,
Yes.
would you be willing to give up your sister, basically, if we help you? And then yeah, Vivenna gets up to leave and argues back and forth with leaders about what being an Idrian means and believing in Oster, and they kind of like are like, oh, we have these pendants and stuff. We believe. Anyways, the discussion is cut short when they hear screaming. So yeah, what did you think of the three leaders? And what do you think of their views of the situation in Halandron?
I mean, they're corrupted leaders. Like it's
Mhm.
pretty simple. I felt like that would probably be what would happen since it happened to the other guy too. That she actually took the breath from. So I would assume that Halandrin would pretty much like corrupt anybody if they stay here long enough.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think
Yeah.
the one of them talks about how like they were brought here as like a kid and
Hmm.
like saw their dad like basically die working himself in the dye fields and everything.
And they worked to where they their hands were bleeding and they scraped to get to where they are. But that
Yeah.
doesn't, in my opinion, that doesn't give you the right to then call yourself an Idrian, but not actually follow the Idrian like philosophy, I guess,
Yeah, it's
Right.
a
to a
And
extent.
little.
Like
in
you
my
at this point, just call yourself a Haladrin. Like I'm sorry, but like I don't think I've ever heard somebody that came from another, like their family came from another country to like America or to anywhere, and then like they live their entire life there, and then they don't associate themselves with that place they're living like all the time. Like you're pretty much a Highlander at this point. Just like if somebody moved, was pregnant, moves over to America, their kid would be born and would think of themselves as an American. They wouldn't think of themselves as whatever the other
Or they
place
at
that,
least think of themselves as like whatever American.
yeah,
At
exactly.
least they
But
at least
like,
consider themselves like half. Oh, what the fuck?
but yeah, my bad.
So yeah, I mean they're saying like we're completely not Halandran. It's like, well, I mean if you've grown up pretty much your whole life here, you kind of are. You're just a really
Yeah,
poor
yeah.
Halandran.
Like, yeah,
it's
you
not even
you have no idea what being a whatever is.
Idrian, yeah.
Yeah.
for me though. It's not even like just like no the sort of like where they come from and how they see themselves right there. It's more the fact that they consider themselves Idrians, but they're fucking up Idrian people regardless.
Yeah, right. Like
Hmm.
they're like the one guy who's considered the gentleman Idrian is like the one like prostituting out a bunch of people. The one guy
Yeah,
forces them
and
to
like
like fight for money, beating each other unconscious.
Okay,
yeah, and
so
like
so here's the thing. All right, on that topic,
Hmm.
I don't see that being as big of a problem as it seems, simply for the fact that everybody has to have some way to make money. And if you put a bunch of people, as long as they're not like literally like saying, like pulling a woman off the streets and being like, you're now a prostitute, or, pulling the guy off the streets and being like, you're going to fight, like they're probably not, like they probably were kind of like given no choice and they decided to go down that road instead of going back to, you know, any other place. They decided, oh, well, we want to stay here, so we kind of have to do these things. Kind of like the fact that certain people are going to have to do things they don't like. Like it's
Yeah.
just
But
simply the way it is.
yeah, my main thought about the leaders is just that like they're obviously more well off now. When you become more well off, like you don't need to
Get
be
corrupt.
like, yeah, the Adrians may not have a choice about what type of work they are, but if you start having more opportunities with yourself with money, you could start creating more opportunities for them besides this like prostitution and fighting
That's
rings.
what I that's the point I was trying to bring up. I mean, like, if you're gonna become a leader, and if you're gonna try your to like rise yourself,
Hmm.
and you're gonna be calling yourself Adrian and still like giving your people like not another opportunity like or a way out from like a bad place, then I mean, how can you even call yourself one of them?
I mean, it's like any other job though. Like if I fought my way to become, basically a pimp, because that's kind of what that one person is.
Yeah.
If I fought my way and became a pimp, like I'm not gonna just all of a sudden become something else. That is my job title. I will. That's how I make my money. So why would I stop making money like to do other things? Like
Well, I'm saying you could
you
do
can't give
both.
somebody else. Maybe. I
So
mean,
that's what you're
could you
mainly
though?
making money on from. It's like you don't want to just switch up because then you're not making any money and then you can't provide, you can't like help the people. But like if
Yeah.
you believe
I
in the
mean,
Idrian sensibilities, which is like helping people, like they seem to have a very like wholesome
Hmm.
like community feel to them. It's like you could on the side with your extra money start trying to make other jobs and make that profitable and then you can move farther away from being a pimp.
well, I
No,
mean, also
you
nothing
know,
says that they're not.
but you know
Yeah,
what
we
else
don't
pissed
know
me off
fully.
though?
I mean, they did put their money into VAR, like
That is true.
seemingly willingly. Like,
Seemingly, yeah.
so they
We don't know
definitely
what he promised
wanted
them.
something. Exactly. But like, seemingly, from what they've said, it was a very willing choice, and while they kind of regret it, I don't think they regret giving him the money. I think they regret the outcome in the end, that they lost money in it.
That's true.
But like, who is
Okay,
going to be happy about losing money?
okay, but instead of trying to do that with Vivenna, they're trying to take from her.
Well, yeah, I mean, you want to get extra stuff in the, like, especially if you've been cheated out of something already, like you've given money, like let's say they did it out of, the kindness of their heart for VAR, and they gave him money, and then he ended up,
Getting them
basically
nothing, yeah.
losing it. Yeah, losing it. Like you're going to want some kind of
Yeah.
something to do. Like you want some kind of a promise instead of just and I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think them asking to put somebody on the throne is that big of a
No, and I don't
issue.
mind that or the titles. It was the creepy thing about her sister that was more my like
Yeah,
But
gripe.
that's
and then
one person. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one
okay,
person. I mean,
okay, but the fact that okay, this is like I get your point, right? I agree, but
mhm.
I'm just saying this pissed me off when they brought up the fact that she can't judge them, and with
Oh
the
yeah,
like
that
Indian
yeah,
ways.
I can agree with that one. Yeah,
After all of that, they bring up the Indian ways like that.
yeah, like I can agree. I don't think, like I said before, I don't think that they should be able to classify themselves as Idrians anymore. But I still think even with that, like they should be able to at least voice the fact that we helped once. We are in some aspect, while they might not be the greatest of jobs, we are giving them jobs, and
Yeah.
we are allowing them opportunities here in Hallandren where they probably didn't have that outside of this. Like
Outside of the dye
obviously,
fields, pretty much it sounded like that was
yeah,
pretty much their only
and who
option.
exactly, and who wants to only have one specific job? Like they're giving them something. Um, and I mean, I don't know personally, but I know that like especially like fighting pits are very big money makers for some people, especially people who actually know how to fight. Like, or even some of the people who go in there and just get beaten up. Like you can get paid quite handsomely for just being that fall guy.
Yeah,
So
The
like,
only thing with the fighting ring that bothered me is they made it sound specifically like it was like Halandran people who probably hate the Idrians coming to just watch these Idrian people beat each other up, and it felt like a very racist kind of thing to me, and it
but
felt really icky in that regard.
that's true. But to be fair, if they do go in with like that sort of thing, they're probably gonna pay more. So
I guess, yeah.
yeah, exactly. I mean, like think about it this way: like in the Colosseums, Like it wasn't the brutes and the fighters that were watching it. It was the people that were in the cities, the potters, and all of this that enjoyed these spectacles that happened. And I
Yeah.
mean, well, that's kind of fallen out of regard. it it's still in some ways shown in our society now too, like football or hockey. Like how
Or
many
literal
people
boxing.
yeah, like how many people I don't know if you guys know anybody who does anything either one of those, but like or that watches any one of those. But usually those people are watching it for certain things, like a fight or somebody to get hit. And like I
Yeah.
mean they're watching it for the aggressive side of it less
Yeah,
than
I
anything
think my
else.
my point was just like if they're watching it less for just to watch an aggressive sport and more so because they want to watch this specific person get beat up.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have watched Mayweather get beat the shit out of all the time, but
Uh,
just ain't happening. I want to watch Logan Paul get his face kicked in.
oh,
Like
yeah.
I'd love to see some of this shit. You know what I'm saying? I want to see these things in fights. Like I'm not. I don't have a beef with the specific person. I just think this one person goes into a fight with this one person. I want to see one of them get beaten. More than the other. Like I could understand. I could understand that a little more if it was like the fight pits were oh, man, I keep messing up the word.
Adrian?
The land yeah, that's it. Was, like, tied up or something, and Hallandren got people were just beating the shit out of him. I can understand that being a problem, but,
Yeah.
like, if you throw 2 Idrians into a ring and then just have a bunch of Hallandren watching it, like, it's just money at that point.
Mm,
Like, these people wanna see a fight, they're gonna watch, especially because I'm sure even if they do have that biasy of, like, they don't like, Idrian people, like, that just brings in more money. That's a
yeah.
bigger publicity.
I guess
Like,
that's true.
I mean, I don't see it as big of a deal. I think the prostitution is a little bigger of a deal, but that's just simply for the fact that I mean, well, it might be the oldest profession. I mean, it's very I'm trying to think of the word, but it's very like uh, abusive in aspects where like you're almost forced to do things that normally you wouldn't do, but because you need money, you're kind of having to do it kind of
Yeah.
idea. And like I feel like there's probably a lot of being taken advantage of in that scenario. But like, and I don't think this person who has very little regard for Faffin's own like thoughts in the matter would be any more likely to give anybody else any of those same feelings, like empathic
Yeah.
feelings. So like that's a little more I don't like, but like the fighting pits and whatever this other person probably does, it's just also going to be shady, I'm sure.
Yeah, I
Um,
think based on I'm trying to think of what we know of Thame. It sounds like Thame was saying that he does like odd jobs for Rhea. I'm wondering if Rhea's more involved in like potentially like drugs and like thieving crews. Like I'm wondering if Rhea is more involved in
possible.
that sort of end. Because we got the brothel person, the fighting pit person. I'm assuming that they have some other
Hmm.
different illicit act that probably doesn't cross over because they probably make sure that they don't cross over each other too much, otherwise it'd be infighting.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, I would assume that this is in this society, there's not like a monopolized law or something. Like they'd probably be killing each other over, oh, I want to be the better brothel, so I'm gonna, maybe not exactly stab the person, but I'm gonna like ruin their profits in some aspect. Maybe I'll slander their prostitutes, or maybe I'll even take their prostitutes,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like
I mean, yeah,
there are so many
if you're
shady
the
ways of
main
doing it.
person in charge of that sort of stuff, you
Yeah.
could probably offer them like a whole cent or two more, which is probably a lot to them because they're all really
Oh
poor.
yeah. 100%.
Yeah. But anyways,
I feel like they're probably just the bigger wigs in this. I'm sure there's
yeah,
other smaller
I
ones.
think
Yeah.
yeah, there's probably smaller kind of like people who do whatever business. They're just considered the three main leaders of the Adrian Quarter.
Hmm.
Um,
Just
but
happen to be the creepy ones.
I mean, I think if you get that big in those sorts of creepy environments, you're gonna be a creepy person yourself.
Yeah, probably.
But anyway, so yeah, so they heard screams, and then we see lifeless soldiers of the city guard arrive.
Hmm.
And Tonkfa begins pulling Vivenna away to run, and Denth pulls out his sword and kind of tries to like start getting ready to like defend them. I think he stays like a bit away and like guards their alleyway as they run off into the alleyway. And Vivenna notes that her dress is impractical to run in. Like, and Tongfa has to keep kind of like hurrying her along and being like, "Come on, come on, come on, come on," because
Should have
she's like,
just wore the pants.
"I know, right?" And eventually they get caught by five lifeless, and Tongfa tries to surrender because he's like, I can't take five. Like, I can't do that. But they pull out their weapons. They are not taking prisoners, apparently. So yeah, why do you think the lifeless didn't accept the surrender? Because Tongfa obviously thought that was like a good possibility that they would just take them as prisoners.
I mean, it probably goes back to whoever actually commands them. And they probably told them to just kill everybody. They didn't tell them to, take prisoners or anything.
Yeah, and I think they note that like the Idrian leaders had put out their swords first to engage them, and that was like a bad sign. Because I guess
Hmm.
they're probably commanded, or at least they believe they're generally commanded. Like, if they pull out stuff on you, you need to fight back.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it. I'll wait till we get to the next part with it, but like, it definitely gave me a different idea of like what lifeless actually are. I guess,
Mm-hmm.
like, in what regard they're able to do certain things. But
Yeah, we'll definitely get into more about. We get a little bit more info
hmm
on lifeless in the Vivenna chapters here. But yeah, so then Tonkfa has to engage them because they're not accepting surrender. He rams a dueling blade into one's neck, and something other than blood spurts out, which we will later learn is ichor alcohol, because that's what they're filled with. They don't have blood. And Vivenna wants to help but can't think of what to do, so she just ends up running. She trips on her skirt and has to yank it off completely. As three lifeless show up, and she desperately tries to awaken a rope but is unable to do so. So, I mean, we get a bit more into the awakening stuff later, but what do you think it kind of said about Vivenna that she was like, she kind of desperately tried to awaken a rope as she was like surrounded when she was so against it previously?
I mean, like I said, when you're in a specific environment, you're forced to do things that you would choose not to do before that. And I mean, I kind of already made the comment that she was going to end up having to do it at some point. Like, whether it be just Vasher coming in and saying, "Hey, you're going to either have to do this or die," and she just kind of realized it, or this comes up and she actually has a life or death situation. I mean, it would have been very helpful, even if she didn't want to be an awakener, to have learned how to awaken if it ever came up.
Yeah, because
Would have
now
been,
she's like, she can't do shit all. She's.
yeah, kind. I mean, it's kind of like Susabran. Like, if he never actually got to have sex, still probably should teach him what it is
It's
and
like,
how to do it.
just in case, you should probably learn some stuff, even if you never plan to
Exactly.
use it.
Mhm. Yeah, watch some porn. Jeez.
Uh,
Anyways, what did you think about the attempted awakening darkness?
um, I low key wanted to laugh when she said like, like fucking come to life or something, whatever it was.
Yeah, she was trying her best. She had no idea what to fucking say.
Yeah, that should have me fucking dying for a
I think at
second.
one point she was just
Right?
like, please, or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Besides that, I figured she would try it because I mean,
Hmm.
as soon as action starts, there's got to be a trigger, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you guys had both been saying for a while that you thought she was gonna either learn or attempt it or something at some point.
Yeah, I didn't think she
Hmm.
would be like that. That panic, like like sort of like do anything to survive, sort of crazy though.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
I think
know.
a lot of people say like you don't know what you'll do in a life or death situation until you're in
Yeah,
one. No matter what
I,
you think
I,
you'll do, it could
I thought
change.
she would have like been in a situation where it would have let her be more stubborn, but I guess it's just a all or nothing moment.
I mean, because
But
we're kind
yeah,
of already past that. But yeah,
yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
To be fair, I think being in that environment and just like looking at what's happening sort of deteriorated that like um how do I say it? That like hesitation while she was
Mm-hmm.
there. Yeah.
So when it actually happened, my first instinct to thought was that somebody within the like group of Idrians probably like was attempting to kind of like catch her in some way.
Mm.
Like some subterfuge. Like I said, I think it was a trap in general.
I
Like
thought it was a snake. Yeah.
it's very like weird that
Well
all of a
timed.
sudden, yeah, all of a sudden, the three of them are meeting with her, and all of a sudden, like, these guards show up out of nowhere. Like,
Yeah, all three leaders plus Vivenna are there.
yeah,
Like whether they're
exactly.
there because of Vivenna or there because like of the important meeting or whatever. Like we don't know how often those three meet together as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I had thought about was, and it's a very wild, outlandish idea that I don't actually believe in,
Mm.
but like that maybe Denth or Tonkfa or Jules is like trying to force her to become an awakener. And so the best way to
Mm.
do so would be to be like, okay, well, let's put her in a life or death situation. Um, and obviously it worked.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that in her second chapter. That her
Hmm.
discussions with Dent about this after.
But yeah, but I mean, I'm just even just that
Yeah.
now. It was those thoughts were sitting in there.
Yeah. But yeah, so then Claude arrives, and
The savior.
the savior Claude, and he attacks the other lifeless. He beheads one and plants himself firmly in front of Vivenna as the other two approach. And Vivenna notes that she sees something almost human in Claude's eyes: determination. Vivenna notes that the
Mhm.
fight is silent as lifeless don't make grunts of pain or noises, which I feel like would be so weird. Like, if imagine seeing this in a movie and it's just like silent besides like the whacking of like swords or like fists. It'd be such a weird fight scene. Yeah, she also notes that Claude fights at the same almost inhuman speed as Denth does, and Claude gets eventually gets stabbed through the stomach, but is able to kill both the
Good.
remaining lifeless soldiers before falling to his knees. Tonkfa then shows up and asks Ven if she's okay, calls to Denth, and notes that Jules is not going to be happy that Claude was injured. So what do you think about Claude's look of determination and his skills as a fighter?
What was the guy's name that Vasher killed?
Far?
No,
No,
the of their
the
group.
one they accused him of.
Oh,
The
Arsteel?
Yeah, yeah. I think this is our steal.
You think it's
That's what
But
I
Arsteel?
said.
Oh, you
yeah,
guys
hundred
both think
percent,
it's Arsteel?
100%, 100%. Like it's just the way they explained it that he fights with this unnatural speed, like Dent, and his like absolute weird dueling capabilities. Like this is what I was saying about the fact that it kind of changed me what I think lifeless were. Like me before thought lifeless are just these creatures that you're basically throwing them in as fodder. Like they're not going to do much. They're just going to run in, swing. They're no skill. And then like this shows like, well, at least one of these people has some really good skill, and almost as if maybe they remembered it from their past,
Yeah, and I
kind of
think we
like
we'll
the
we'll talk about
gods.
that in the other
Yeah.
Ravenna chapter, but I believe Denth does say that like they retain some skills
Hmm.
and like it's more expensive to get someone who is a good fighter in
Hmm.
their life.
Unless you already knew that they were a good fighter and you could bamboozle somebody into
Unless you
doing
already had their body, yeah. If this is our steal, they would already have had his body and just had to pay someone to make him a
Yeah,
lifeless potentially.
it. Would be interesting.
but I don't think it is. So
Mm.
that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
I mean,
That,
yeah.
that's
That's what
what
you
I
thought at
thought when I
first.
when we
Hmm.
first when we first talked about Cloud and all that stuff. But I don't think it is, honestly.
What
I
makes
think
you
it's just
not
like a.
think it is?
I mean,
Just curious.
further down in the chapter, right? Like
Uh
where
huh.
they're discussing him and repairing him.
In the
Um,
next, yeah, I don't think is
yeah.
that in this
So
chapter or is that in the
I'll,
chapter
That's
after?
in the next event chapter. We can talk about
Yeah,
later
that's what I thought.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
what
I was
Darkness
like, yeah,
thinks.
I'm just gonna wait.
Yeah, we'll wait till the
Hmm.
next chapter and we'll get into why Darkness thinks it's not our steal then. But yeah, so that was chapter 31. So chapter 32, we switched to Ciri's point of view. She's waking up around noon without Susebron, as per usual. Apparently, she and Susebron have been staying up later and later talking. She also notes that she's happy even with all the frustrations and dangers. She finds herself liking Susebron and all the colors and excitement of Tetlir. Her thoughts quickly go back to the danger, though, and she decides that even though she isn't well prepared, she has to do something because she's really the only one who can do anything. So she burns the bed sheets and has the serving women come in, and Ciri, at a convenient moment, speaks quietly to one of the Pancall women and tells her to tell Bluefingers that she needs to trade information that could drastically change his plans. She then notes that other serving women could have heard, but hoped that they wouldn't tell anyone, and then wonders what vital information she can think up to tell Bluefingers. So do you think the servants that are not from Ponkel will tell anyone of this conversation?
I doubt it.
No.
No?
No, I really hope they don't, especially later. But
I don't think they will. They already seem scared enough, you know.
Yeah, because I
You
mean
yeah,
know.
I'm assuming the other women. So like I'm assuming the Ponkan women kind of generally uh
listen to
respond to
Blue
blue
Fingers.
fingers, and then the
Hmm.
non-Ponkan women, the Halandran women, probably respond to Trellides.
Yeah, or also known as Death.
No, that's Vara Trellides.
I know who that is.
So you guys don't think they're gonna tell, or you're hoping they won't tell anyone?
I mean, I also don't think they will either. But
Yeah, that's what I meant. Think and hope.
mhm.
All right. So Siri then
You say
meets up.
hope because they definitely do it later, huh?
I thought one of you said
I,
hope. I think Darkness said hope they won't. But yeah, Siri then meets up with Lightsong later. I know you guys' favorite character. uh,
Light song. Yep.
yep, who
light
hugs.
on when
Yeah, I guess Susubron is now Darkness's favorite.
Yeah. No, Light song is still my favorite character.
He hugs her as they greet each other, and as Siri sits, Lightsong notes that she reminds him of someone, but he can't remember who she is. Siri then asks where his name and title came from, which he goes on a monologue about how he puts on an act and is actually very boring most of the time. He then states that he thinks the titles are completely random and that a drunk monkey selects them. Which I think the
Yeah,
drunk monkey
it's a
thing comes up later
pretty
too.
good theory. Yeah, it's a pretty good theory.
I like the drunk monkey theory.
Yeah, it's a pretty good theory.
And then finally, Lightsong gives her what he's been told is the real answer, which is that it's based on how they die. He also tells Siri he doesn't remember anything about before or how he died. And Siri states Lightsong must have been a salesman or a diplomat previously, and Lightsong gets quiet and less like himself for a moment. So, what did you think about Lightsong kind of getting quiet after Siri says you should have been a salesman or diplomat?
I mean, because he probably was in some shape or form, but just the way he talks.
Think he's disappointed with the answer because he thinks he's a
Cop. Yeah.
yeah, he thinks he's like a city guard or investigator or
Hmm.
something.
a sheer.
Which would also be pretty interesting. So
What do you think's more likely? That he's what he thought he is, or what Siri thought he is, or something else?
I think it's more leaning towards what he thought he was.
See, Mythic.
yeah,
Because
I kind of agree. Yeah.
even though he's like he generally knows what to do about like politics and all that stuff, he doesn't seem to like take an interest in it as much as he does the other things.
Hmm.
And he's just I don't know. I feel like if you really were working that job, you'd probably take more of like a stance regardless of whether you liked it or not.
I see. So yeah, so Light Song, I love this whole thing with Hoyd. Light Song then has an elderly man with a long white beard come over. We learn that his name is Hoyd and he is a master storyteller. Siri then takes a closer look at Hoyd and notes that he is actually much younger than he appears to be, and although the beard doesn't seem fake, she believes he bleaches it. So yeah, what did you think about Hoyd's appearance and him trying to look older?
I mean, makes sense. I mean, you're a storyteller. You should probably look, old and
Wise.
wise. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, that whole time I pictured him as Dumbledore.
Dumbledore.
Dumbledore without
Yeah,
wrinkles. Just a really young
yeah,
Dumbledore.
yeah.
Someone just cosplaying as Dumbledore.
Pretty
Yep.
much.
Oh my
Also,
gosh.
let's. I don't know. I found it really interesting. That um, like Tong keeps bringing up that what is it? It was a panther, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah, yeah.
Panther.
Yeah,
The thing
yeah.
that uh Scoot didn't think was actually in his dream.
Mhm,
Yeah.
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, I want to keep that in mind real quick. You can continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Thank
Siri
you.
asks Hoyd to tell her about the origins of the God Kings. Hoyd, using normal sand and black sand, which turns white, as he tells his story. And we learn about the Chedesh people who sailed the inner sea from the east and discovered the valley. He begins dropping leaves and has them puff into a cloud of colorful dust. He mentions how they thought they had found paradise with bountiful foods and lush beaches and the tears of Edgley flowers. And we learn about the first returned, a man named Vo, was born here on a ship and declared the five visions before dying a week later. Hoyd uses some
Hmm.
glitter, and the people settled here and called the kingdom Henald, and the only other people here were small fishing villages of the Pan Kal. Hoyd begins to drop dirt and mentions that another name for Khaled the Usurper was Strife Lover, and he was a returned. Are you surprised to learn that Khaled was a returned named Strife Lover?
A little bit, just for the fact that I didn't think that like I didn't think returned were like named like that yet, probably. But
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm really curious as to
When they started getting those names.
hmm
yeah,
Because the
like
first one's name is
why.
Vo. He didn't have that name. So somewhere between Vo and I think Strife Lover is now the earliest one we know of. Somewhere between the two of them
So
was
hmm
how old is the monkey?
the drunk monkey.
Yeah,
It's a generation thing. They have a
they
line
pass
of
it down
alcoholic
like the God
monkeys.
King,
Yeah, it's passed down.
like the
yeah,
God
it's
King. Wow.
just like the God King. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the God King's personal pet. Siri hasn't been introduced yet because
No,
he doesn't
it's
hang out in the
Tonk
bedroom.
Faw's pet. It's Tonk Faw's pet.
Well, that's a cousin of the drunk monkey that they sold off. That's how Tonkfa has it.
Wait, what if he got called back to like because he was like the only living relative and he had to take on the role and that's why he's gone?
hmm Yep, just like the parrot and all these other things. Yep. We
Mm.
haven't seen him get another pet yet, so
Not yet. He still has the monkey, as
wait
far
on.
as we're aware.
No, he lost the monkey.
Oh, sorry. Yes, he did lose the monkey. We just don't know of a new pet yet.
Hmm.
Apologies. I forgot he lost the monkey.
He no longer has the monkey. Monkeys are
What did
boring, remember?
Yeah,
what
monkeys
did
are
we
boring.
predict that he was gonna have?
I think you predicted a
Ferret.
ferret and a snake.
Yes, yes. Okay.
But yeah. So then Hoyd goes back to
And
Vo.
what did you predict?
I didn't have a prediction because I know.
But that's not. What do you predict?
I can't have a prediction when I know.
Sure, you can. What would you have predicted if you were reading this right now?
Okay, to be fair, when you guys were giving suggestions before Darkness said snake, I had been thinking snake was a kind of jungle-ish animal. So
Yeah.
I had been thinking about snake during last episode. So I think I would agree. I
That's
like
a cop out, but
some like
okay.
big python or something. Like one of those ones that's like as long as like a person's body, like that you put on your
That's what I was
shoulders.
thinking. Oh no.
Otherwise, maybe like a bobcat. Bobcat would be cool.
Ooh,
A
bobcat.
fucking bobcat?
I don't know.
Hey,
Um.
ow. I mean,
Anyways,
hey, a bobcat could help with like battles and shit too, though. They're
maybe
big. They're
take out
big.
the ankles of the lifeless and make them fall over so they can't walk.
Exactly.
That
Cut
would be
off their
dumb.
Achilles tendons.
Yep. All right, so Hoyd then goes back to talking about Vo and says that they turned Vo's wife into the first queen and began a bustling trade of dyes using the tears of Edgley. He begins to drop flower petals and mentions kingdoms called Kuth and Huth and mentions that they were destroyed not just for the flowers but also because of breath. He mentions that around this time the five scholars were around and great discoveries about breath and commands were made. Hoyd begins dropping yellow and black dust before switching to paper scraps. And he mentions how one of the five scholars made a discovery about how to create a lifeless with just one breath. He then begins to drop bits of metal and says the war came and the five scholars all joined different sides. He says that before lifeless needed 50 breath, which wasn't worth it, but needing only one meant you could double your troops with half not needing to eat. Hoyd says that lifeless are no stronger than men, but they don't need to eat or feel fear or pain. We also learn that Khaled created a new type of lifeless. However, knowledge of what these new lifeless were was lost or intentionally destroyed. So what do you think these new type of lifeless are? I think we kind of maybe briefly talked about it before, but you guys didn't really have much idea. But what do you think would be a different type of lifeless?
Do you have your theories, Darkness?
Um, not really. I just thought, oh, they got a new command, so you know. But right now, I was just thinking, like, have we seen a female lifeless?
What?
I don't know. They don't really describe the lifeless much besides just that they're all gray besides Claude.
Hmm.
It depends if in this society women go to war or not. Because you'd
Wait,
probably
are you telling me that Brandon Sanderson might actually be sexist?
I don't think he is. Based on all the books I've read, I don't think he is. He's got a good mix of good female and male characters.
Well, I mean, you also said he was not putting any of the LGBTQ in this either,
Till later, he
so
does eventually. There is some good representation later.
but not in this book.
Not in this
So
book at this time.
maybe this is back when he was a little less what's the word? Less bigotry. Less of a bigot.
It's cancel culture catching up.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
I know, right? But no.
I mean, it's a little nervous right now.
But
Well,
anyways,
I
yeah.
mean,
What do you think these new types of
my
lifeless
theory
are?
on the are these other lifeless could easily be the fact that like it's oh my god, what the fuck is it called? The sword. What's the sword's
Nightblood?
name again? Thank you. It could be like Nightblood, where instead of putting out color, they're taking away color. And maybe that's why they're a different breed of lifeless. The other idea I had was maybe they're lifeless that are kind of like the gods. They have actual personality and can talk
Hmm.
and do things, kind of like I think Claude might be.
I mean, the returned also don't need to eat. They just do because they're worshipped.
Hmm. Hmm.
But we do know that there was returned before then. So you think they're just like a weird mix of lifeless and returned?
Something to that extent. I'll be right back.
He's got all the sounds going off today.
Um, imagine if it was just soundboard. Anyway, um, yeah, like that would make sense. That I want to know what the difference between both of them are. Like, I think it is like a sort of like how much consciousness they have,
Hmm.
depending on how much breath would be used to make one.
Yeah. Also, the life. Well, because the thing is, we know that the needing only the one breath is not the special type. Because apparently they did need 50 breath at one point. They learned how to make ones with just one breath, but that is not the special lifeless that Khaled created.
Hmm.
One of the five scholars discovered that instead.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and also like I mean Mythic's not here, but in regards to the whole return versus lifeless, we know that lifeless, which we'll learn later, which lifeless may need another breath if they're injured, but generally they don't need like the one breath a week like the returned do. Whereas returned need one breath a week to be maintained.
Maybe they need like, okay, just like a wild theory, right?
Mhm.
Let's say returned can actually be like, what if like returned is like the special kind of like, not the special, like the ones that take more breath. You know what I mean? The the lifeless that take like 50 breath, right?
Mm.
What if that's how they're created? And it's that case where like they have like that higher like consciousness, cognitive ability or whatever, right? So in order to keep that up, it's sort of like fuel,
Mm.
and that's why they need like um
So you mean like the more breath a lifeless has, the more conscious and human they would be?
yeah, but it'll use it up.
Mm. And so they become like completely like not sentient if they just have one, but they'll have like if they have more, they'll use it up and be sentient.
Yeah. So it would make sense for them to like kill them off and stuff
Hmm.
because why would you want people to know that um the gods you worship so much can be turned can like are actually like simple like city guards or like you know
Mm.
like
So you think like
they wouldn't want it
the
to
old
there.
gods have like become the part of the lifeless army?
No, I just think like
Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
No
I don't
problem.
know. I just think that
I had to
it
go
could be
grab my cat.
possible. it
It's gonna
could
be
be
cold
possible
outside.
that they could just like make him that way.
Mm.
Like they have the lifeless guards that are like one breath, and then the possible returns that are like 50.
Mm. The darkness was saying that like potentially like the special lifeless are like the more breath you put into them, the more sentient and more like returned they are.
Hmm, possible. I mean, it would be very weird that I mean, wouldn't that mean that the 50 then would make it made him stronger in that regard?
That's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying.
yeah,
Uh,
Darkness is saying that, but like also like if all you're using them for is fighting in a war and they're just fine with the one, you don't need them to be more sentient.
Yeah,
True. I mean, it would probably be beneficial to not have him being as sentient.
yeah,
That makes
Mm-hmm.
because
sense,
if
yeah.
they're sentient, they can like actually feel fear and all that stuff. So
I mean,
Yeah.
what's better?
I also don't know if the storyteller actually knows what he's talking about, but
You don't
Yeah,
know if
but I mean,
Hoyt.
like,
You don't think Hoyt knows what he's talking about?
nah, I think he's just a storyteller. He just tells stories.
Just
but to
bullshitting.
be fair, we don't really have that much of like a
Well,
source of
I
information,
mean,
so
I
it
wouldn't
matters
say as
less.
much bullshitting as more of just like I
Rumors.
heard this story at one point, so I'm going to reiterate it and kind of fluff it up a little bit to make it a story that I can tell people. You know, I
He's
mean,
a
I'm sure
master
there's
storyteller, though.
yeah, exactly, but I mean, I can be a master anything, like as long as I say I am.
I see.
A master streamer.
Hey, yeah, I'm a master streamer.
All right.
Hmm.
So then Hoyd gives different explanations for why the royal family left. They say
Yeah,
the Idrians speak of religious indignation and treachery by Khaled the Usurper. The Conpal people say the royal family gained powerful lifeless and awakeners who then turned against them. And the Halandran people tell of the royal family aligning with Khaled the Usurper and ignoring the will of the people by seeking war with bloodlust. So, what do you think is the real reason, if any of these three, that the royal family left, Halandrian?
I mean, I could definitely think that it would be. I don't think it's any of those three in like regard. I think it might be all of them. But like
The whole thing where like the
in
truth
different.
is a mixture of everyone's side and not just
Yeah,
one person's.
exactly. I don't think. I think it got distorted because you know, or not victory. History is written by the winners. So like they could say anything they want to make themselves sound better. But I don't know. It feels a lot like it could be a kind of like is that a mixture of all of it. Like maybe they had returned, they did betray them, but now down the road they they're kind of like outcasting returned for that reason. Um, and or maybe maybe they had returned for the religious reasoning behind it. Like maybe it's not the exact kind of way they have them now, where they're gods in Hallandren, but like they were returned. They're just they're here. Um, I mean, there's so many ways it could be misconstrued and then created differently depending on who tells the story.
Yeah. What do you think,
I do
Darkness?
find it funny that he tells
Oh.
the story to. Yeah, I'm sorry. I do find it funny he tells the story to appease Siri more than to tell an actual story.
Yeah, he kind of tries to. I mean, she is the queen. He kind of plays up to her Idrian sensibilities a little bit, as she
Yeah, well, I
says.
mean, go ahead, darkness.
Yeah, I completely agree. Um, I'm having an issue.
Uh
But
oh.
A background.
oh,
But I completely agree with Mythic and the way he's seeing it.
hmm. I mean, it's also possible that like they maybe used like the lifeless and awakeners because they had no other choice. Because like if you're in a war with other people who are
Hmm.
using them, and then
Kind of have
even if
to
they
do
hate
so.
them, they use them, and then yeah, they turn on them because they know they're hated, and then they run away or something. Who knows? There's all sorts
Well,
of possibilities.
they were in power, right?
Well,
The like royal family were like
yeah, the thing is, we don't really know. I feel like what the exact like start of the many war
yeah,
was,
like what the fuck is happening?
besides the fact that Khaled the Usurper like had like his phantoms and like this army. But yeah, we don't really know what the different sides of the war was and everything. So All we know is that it somehow ended when it ended with Peacegiver doing diplomacy. At some point, the Idrian royal family left Halandrin with whatever people of Halandrin wanted to leave with them and became Idris. And we don't know what happened internally. It sounds like there must have been some sort of internal issue, which is why that they left and some stayed. But I think they say at one point the Idrians say that like it was because the Halandrians started worshiping the returned gods, and they're like, no, 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 we're not okay with this. But I'm not really sure. I don't think we get a lot of like super concrete reasoning.
Vague.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so then Hoy begins to sprinkle some charcoal. Mentions that Vo's wife had been pregnant and that his child began the start of the royal line, which Ciri had not been aware of. Ciri then switches
Mhm.
to asking about the God Kings. They have apparently been 5 God Kings, including Susebron, but not including Peacegiver, in 300 years. So what do you think about the royal line being descended from a return? So apparently Ciri and Vivenna and everyone, they're the children of a returned Vo.
I mean, kind of makes a lot of sense having that ability, especially
Yeah, it,
since. Go ahead, darkness.
it makes me wonder, like, if that's the reason their hair color can change like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's very interesting because yeah, only the royal family has that. The royal family is the
Mhm.
one descended from Vo. But I'm also curious because like again, we get told kind of that like you guys weren't sure if like the God King I don't remember which one of you said it, but that the God King's child is really their child. So like this kind
Mhm.
of says again, didn't Darkness or someone say that last time? That they weren't sure if it was like some random child returned?
I think we were making a joke about it.
Oh, okay. Wasn't sure if you were serious about that or not. So I was just gonna say that this kind of like goes into the fact again that like certain returned apparently can have children.
Hmm. Other than just the God King.
Yeah.
I mean, he does make a comment when he says that there are 5 God Kings. He puts one of them and says, not, not, uh,
So it's not Peacegiver. Peacegiver does not count as
yeah,
one of the God Kings. The
which is
5 God
weird to
Kings,
me.
which includes Susebron, have all been after Peacegiver. So it was Peacegiver, and then there's been God King 1, God King 2, God King 3, God King 4, and Susebron
Hmm. That's
within
kind of weird.
300 years. So, um, yeah, so then we learned that Peacegiver dispelled Khaled's phantoms and brought a peaceful end to the many war. The first God King gained his breath from Peacegiver, and all God Kings since have had a stillborn son. We learned that giving a breath does not make someone a god, but potentially Peacegiver did something unique to let the God King pass on his divinity to his son. Ciri thinks about how some returned can have children while others cannot. Ciri then asks if gods are immortal. Why have there been 5 God Kings? Hoyd replies that the gods tire as they come back for the people and not themselves, and that the God Kings often pass on once they've produced an heir. He states that once an heir is produced, a God King will grow restless and find a reason to use their breath. He grows. He throws some water up and snaps his fingers, and it turns to mist. And so, yeah, what do you think? Do you think this reason for the God King giving up their breath is true? That they grow restless once their kind of purpose is fulfilled?
No, I mean, I've already made the comment that I think that they lose their breath, like it's stolen from them,
Mm-hmm.
but or something to that extent.
Yeah, so I would say something like something happens to the God Kings, right? But I think most of the gods, like the returns,
Mm-hmm.
um, do take up on that like option of like I'm kind of tired,
I mean, we know
Oh yeah,
Hope
I think
and
Finder is
so.
getting tired. He says
Hmm.
specifically like
Yeah.
I feel old. I'm
Yeah,
more
like
likely to
I
pass
get
on.
it, because you got to deal with so much. Even if you're being worshipped, like think about it, you would last so long.
I mean, every day people are coming to you begging you to save their family
Yeah,
member or themselves. I feel like
yeah,
I would break down eventually with that too.
you're probably standing in line trying to trying to get some help too.
Wow.
I mean, it's not like anybody could see her in line, so
Wow.
that was low hanging fruit.
Freaking rude. But yeah, so Siri then asks where Hoyd learned his storytelling. His reply is, I learned it many, many years ago from a man who didn't know who
Hmm.
he was. It was a distant place where two lands meet and gods have died, but that is unimportant. I just wanted to make a note here that, unlike every other time that gods are mentioned, specifically this mention of gods is not capitalized. Just wanted to make that note there because it has been,
Hmm.
I believe, very consistent that gods, when talking about like, the returned gods at least, have always been capitalized. But yeah, did you have any thoughts about Hoyd's mention about where he learned his storytelling from? Any thoughts on that little
Very
part?
vague.
Darkness, any thoughts?
Yeah, I had a lot of trouble trying to not like spin my own theories, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of how vague it is. But I mean, at least we're learning stuff. I don't think I don't think all the information being given from the storyteller can, be treated as factual. Obviously, because it is a storyteller after all. But
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I mean, what other options do all of us have, including Siri, who's listening to the podcast?
Serious listening to the podcast.
Do you guys have any thoughts about what he means by gods here? If he's not talking about gods with a capital G.
I mean, I feel like it would have been in quotations if for the other thing. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I didn't even catch that till you said that. I
I
just went
wasn't
back
sure if
and
people
looked.
were gonna catch that. That's why I wanted to
Yeah,
highlight it.
yeah.
Can you
Just went
repeat
back
what
and
he
looked.
said?
Yep, I can repeat it. So it says, I learned it many, many years ago from a man who didn't know who he was. It was a distant
Hmm.
place where two lands meet and gods have died, but that is unimportant.
Ah,
And
yeah.
yeah,
So
Gods is not capitalized.
Hmm.
it's probably talking about wait, I'm gonna need like a English lesson right now with the
Hmm.
capitalization here.
So,
So
Capitalization means
so
just like,
base,
oh, okay, go ahead.
I can just copy. I'll copy and paste it first into the Discord. That was the quotation I took out. But basically, like in this book, everywhere else, when they talk about gods, meaning the returned gods, it's a capital G. So like it's uppercase G.
yeah, so I'm assuming that it's gods of dead religions now because either the people died off or they're not believed in anymore.
You think that's why it's not capitalized? Because they
Yeah,
aren't believed in anymore. Okay.
because it's not their specific one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't
Uh,
know if
'Cause-
Oster is ever capitalized when calling Oster God, because they just call Oster Oster, which is
That's
yeah,
what I'm
which
saying.
capitalized.
is
Like when you,
capitalized because it's a plural name. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like when you think about general religions, there's gods in each one of them, so it's not
Mm-hmm.
gonna be directing it to the one you believe in, but in general that there's other religions.
Yeah. Yeah. We get lots of vague people's backgrounds in this book. I like
Hmm.
highlighting them. Like Dent is very vague, Vasher's a bit vague, uh Hoyd's vague about his
Yeah,
background.
yeah, definitely vagabonds. Yeah.
But yeah, I like highlighting that. I always find their little mentions very interesting. But yeah, so Siri then notes that the explanation of passing on the breath does not explain how Peacegiver's treasure passes from God King to God King. And Siri worries that Susebron will grow tired of her once he bears a son. She then excuses herself so Lightsong does not see her crying.
Yeah,
And
that
then,
doesn't seem to work.
yeah, we learn in his next chapter that he does see her running off upset. But
He
yeah,
doesn't say he saw her cry though. He just says she was
she seemed
upset.
upset. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's very upset. And then we're back to Vivenna, and they're at the safe house. She's watching Jules sew Claude's intestines back together, and Tonkfa has gone to
Very
check.
vivid.
Yeah, we get lots of fun details about her sewing Claude's intestines together. Tongfa has gone to check to see if Parlin was okay at their main house, and Vivenna is realizing she would throw away everything, modesty and her religion, when her life is in danger. Jules is muttering to herself, saying she and Claude should just run away. This makes Claude try to stand, which makes Jules tell him to go inactive after saying Howl of the Sun before and after. Denth then comes upstairs from the cellar and tries to comfort Vivenna. Vivenna responds that she wants Denth to teach her awakening. She says she is already damned and she hates Halandrin and wants to overthrow them. She goes on a long monologue about how she hates everything about Halandrin and what it's done to her life, her father, and her people here. What do you think of Vivenna's anger and her wanting to learn how to be an awakener here? She gets very upset.
Mm-hmm. For good reason too. I mean, she almost died.
Yeah, I think it's founded, but I also think that she needs to cool off a bit and like process what's been happening before she can actually, decide what's happening. You know,
Yeah. She's had
for
a lot of change as
her
a
future
character
self.
from the start of the book till now.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
She's becoming a very different person than she was originally.
but at that point, I think all of them realize that she's not there for her original goals anymore. So
Yo, well, I mean, we'll get into
Including
that.
her.
But yeah, so Denton agrees that they'll change course to make their attacks more painful. He then asks if this was really about her sister, and Vivenna says no. She had become useless after her sister took her place, and she had come to get it back even though she hates Halandrin. Dent says her reasoning is too complicated for a mercenary, and Vivenna thinks that even she doesn't fully understand. Uh, Vivenna then glances over at Jules again, and Denth explains that she's attaching a new muscle that she has to screw into the bones. Apparently, Lifeless can heal a little, but not muscles or other such things, and that fresh ichor alcohol helps, but after a time they need another breath to keep going if repaired too much, and that oftentimes it's just cheaper to buy a whole new body or a whole new Lifeless. Vivenna notes that Claude saved her life, and she feels both pity and a sort of affection for him. She also notes that he fought better than the other Lifeless, and Denth explains that the Lifeless keep some semblance of skill that they had before they died. Vivenna also notes that they treat Claude like a thing, and that they should show some more respect to him. Yeah, I was going to go into here. Who do you think Claude was before he died? Which Mythic has said Arsteel, and is this where you want to go into your thoughts, Darkness, about him potentially not being Arsteel after all?
I think he's just like a really good soldier, honestly. Because
Mm.
I mean,
I mean, it is quite stated though that uh it was like Dent's speed,
Yeah, like
and
Denth is like
and they've
known to
stated
be
quite a few times that
particularly good.
Arsteel was like was so good. Even Dent says he's better. He was better than him.
Yeah, I think Denth says
So.
like Arsteel was the best of them,
Hmm.
which is why he keeps insisting Basher couldn't beat him.
yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like they would have treated him like they're treating him now.
To be fair, I will say
I
Vivenna
thought
says
about
they
that
all
too.
treat him without respect, but I feel like Jules, like, she's noticed
No.
several times like talking to him
Uh,
and stuff. Like,
Wait, is this? Wait, is this the? This is the chapter when they. Okay, never mind. We haven't gotten to that point yet.
okay, okay, things are coming up. All right,
Hmm.
should I move on then?
I mean, I just think it's Arsteel just because of the way that they explained it, like
Mm-hmm.
how he fights, and on the point of it being like them, the way that they treat him, uh, that could simply just be because like maybe they don't like he's no longer who he was, so maybe they
Yeah.
just don't see him that way anymore, and so he has become a thing, especially if they've had him for a little bit. Like it'll only probably take a month, but for me at least,
Yeah.
if
Well, I
like
think, I mean,
I pull somebody.
potentially, if it is Arsteel, they've had him for like 5+ years, because didn't they say they hadn't seen Vasher in like
Hmm.
years?
Yeah.
So, at that point, yeah. But yeah, so Denton notes that Ichor alcohol was discovered by one of the five scholars, and it keeps Lifeless going well. Also noted that it was a contributing factor to the many war, along with new commands, also discovered by one of the five scholars. We get a little bit more mentions of that, just like we had with Hoyd. We then
Hmm.
see Jules attach a hose to a small valve in the base of Claude's neck and begin slowly pumping fresh Ichor alcohol into him, likely going slowly so she doesn't pop blood vessels, which
Hmm.
that's fun. Dent then begins to explain a couple basic commands and how they work. Hold things will make the object like a rope hold whatever is closest. Protect things is apparently complex and requires specific imagining of what you want. Dent explains that you need not just speak a command, but imagine it in your head. He also notes that the more breath you have, the easier it is to learn Awakening. Vivenna thanks Dent and tells him he's a good man, to which he replies that he wishes that were still true, that he hasn't been a good man for some years now. Huntfa then comes
Hmm.
back and says that things look safe and they leave. Vivenna notes to remember Howl the Sun. Do you think Dent is a good man?
Well, yeah.
Agnes, do you think Dent is a good man?
Probably he's probably good at heart, but he's probably also done very terrible things. So
Doesn't make him not a good man though.
Yeah. So why do you think he doesn't think he is any longer?
For the same reason that Darcy just said,
Yeah.
he's done terrible things.
I mean, he
I'm
is a
sure he
mercenary.
doesn't. Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't believe he's a good man anymore.
So yeah, so then some of the best parts of this chapter, we time skip
Mm.
to the house where Parlin rushes up to Jules first before going to Vivenna and asking what
Yep.
happened. Vivenna seems upset that Parlin is asking about Jules and not her. Parlin notes that Jules is nice and that they don't need to keep up the charade of potentially being engaged since they're likely to be disinherited. He says that Vivenna has never been nice to him and makes him feel stupid. He didn't come because Vivenna asked him to, but because of Ciri. He then walks away and Vivenna notes that Parlin is twice the person she is. Vivenna
yeah,
notes
Hmm.
that yeah, Vivenna notes that she
But
will learn how to awaken, and that the real Vivenna didn't come to save Ciri, but because she didn't like to be unimportant. So, what do you think about Parlin and Vivenna's conversation, and does that change your
that
view on
Loki,
either of them?
that Loki made me feel so fucking sad.
Yeah, fucking,
I
I feel
mean,
so bad for Parlin.
I don't.
Yeah.
I think Parlin's
Oh,
got perfectly. I don't. I don't feel bad for Parlin. I
What?
think he's got exactly what he needs. Uh, I think. The. I think I would have felt bad for him before when he was in the whatever in it. Can never say that
Idris?
word. Idris. I think I would have felt bad for him for the simple fact that like he can't really do much. Uh, but now he's in Hallandren. He's able to do pretty much whatever he wants, and I think he's chosen pretty good with Jules. So she seems caring at least about specific
She's got a rough
people.
exterior,
Yeah.
but she seems to have a decent heart under it all.
I mean, she hasn't been mean to anyone other than her, so kind of makes sense on why she would be mean to her.
And she's
Like,
mostly been mean to Vivenna because Vivenna was like looking down on her. Like they had that
hmm
big fight kind of
exactly.
thing.
I mean, I don't feel bad for him. I feel bad for her because she's now has to learn pretty much who she actually is, not just a princess. Um, and she's kind of got to do it fast.
she's having
Uh,
her Disney moment.
I do find it funny though, which what I was gonna say before was she seems to finally have like understood that she does somewhat have feelings for him and then gets rejected immediately. And that I thought was hilarious because the first time when Dent said it to her, it was like, no, no, that's not, we're not a thing. I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
And, you could kind of clearly see she had been very jealous about it. And then all of a sudden now she's kind of like addressing that.
I feel like
And
it's good that she admits that like he's twice the person she is because she did kind of look down on him at the start of the
yeah,
book.
I mean, so did I. But yeah,
Yeah, you guys also look down on Parlin, but Parlin's a lot
yeah.
more aware of things than you guys gave him credit for.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he still seems genuinely naive.
I mean, he even admits like he's like I probably am stupid, but like at least but like you made
You
me
Yeah,
don't make
feel
me
stupid.
feel
If
that
you
way.
cared about me,
yeah.
you wouldn't make
Yeah.
me feel stupid.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the part that, I didn't see I saw him as he's just naive. I didn't see him as stupid. I just thought, he's never been out of, Elandrin, so like kind of just like that I mean, if you were shut in for your entire life, everything around you would look better. So like you would
Hmm.
be engrossed in things. So like
Well, he wasn't really
if
shut in.
it's
He was just more like a
no, but I'm saying like
wilderness
I
person.
was using it as a an example,
Yeah,
but yeah, like he knew a specific life, and then was shown pretty much the polar opposite.
yeah.
And of course you're going to be like astounded and want to do things and stuff like that. So he was very naive to that part of the world. Like I didn't think
Hmm.
he himself was stupid.
He's
Never.
naive to
I
like
thought he was
city life
just
and like
yeah,
politics
exactly.
and all sorts of stuff. Because he's the yeah,
Hmm.
he's like a woodsman hunter from a small, well, not small for Idris standards, but small for Halandran standards town.
I found it annoying they didn't bring him.
To the Idrian stuff, yeah.
Yeah, like
It would
he
have been interesting
is
to see him actually fight,
kind
because
of
I
a
feel like
You
he
wizard.
know
might
what?
have some
Yeah,
fighting skills.
Yeah, why wasn't he
yeah,
there?
Well, because
because
Den
they
said he
said
didn't want to bring
that
the extra
yeah,
person.
yeah,
But
which doesn't make sense to me. But I
Well, I
don't want
think
to
Dent
bring
also
the
looks
extra
down on
person.
Parlin, probably.
Yeah, exactly. But like, don't want to bring the extra person. Like, if you don't want to bring it's one body. It's not like you're bringing an entire army.
Yeah.
Like, it would have helped a lot. And that's the other thing that why I kind of fell into that belief that maybe Denth and or Denth Tonkfa or Jules might have set this whole thing up was
Mm.
because she they distanced them from Parlin, and then magically he says, "I can't fight 5, let's give up." And then somehow he still comes back, like
I think the
not
assumption is
dead,
that Dent saved him.
but still, like, that's kind of weird to me. Like,
Yeah.
Dent also was fighting a bunch of people off. Like, how do you just say, "Oh yeah, I'm fighting everybody off," and then all of a sudden just,
Yeah.
show
Well,
up,
yeah. I
you
think
know?
there's two situations there. Either one, uh, they didn't know the situation. Dent is such a good swordsman. He kind of looks down on everyone. He's like, I already got to protect Jules. I've got to protect Tonk Five. Got to protect Vivenna. I don't want to have to protect Parlin too because everyone's below me. Or as you said, they knew about it and they're like, either I don't want Parlin to be good and help too much, or I don't want to have to worry about Vivenna worrying about him and then potentially having to protect him.
Yeah, but I mean, if he was sent to defend her in some aspect, I mean, we know it that now it wasn't exactly the reason he came, but like that was given as the reasoning he was there with her was to like be her bodyguard. Like, why
Yeah.
would you remove him in general? Like, if that's just one more sword, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
As
Like,
I said, like I the one potential there is that Dent just sees himself as so much above everyone in terms of fighting
I
that
mean, I feel
it's
like it would
yeah,
have been a very different story had uh, Claude not showed up because I'm pretty sure she would have been dead.
yeah, it's very true.
Like they wouldn't have made it there that fast. If Claude wasn't there to fight that, like they would have killed her, and then you're not that good of a swordsman. You can't be there. You know what I'm saying? If you weren't there, then
Yeah.
but if you had that extra person, they would have been there. I just it's kind of not solidifies it, but it kind of makes it a little more solid on the my theory that they might have set it all up in some
Mm.
way. Um, the other one is because he said that I'm not a good person kind of idea. Kind of made me feel like maybe he's got some guilt for it. But
Yeah. And your opinion was that, or was it Darkness was that they're pushing her towards being an awakener, and that's why they would do that, or
yeah, that's what my opinion was. Yeah.
they're trying to show her like you must do this to be more useful, like to
I mean,
protect
yeah,
yourself.
I mean, I believe he made a comment about it earlier too, that
Yeah.
like she's gonna have to do it. And like,
Yeah, I think in a previous chapter he kind of says like, look, you
mhm,
need to be useful. Like this can
yep,
like help you in like life or death situations. And then there's a
yeah,
life or
and
death situation if like however many
hopefully,
chapters later.
I mean, he also has made the comment that well, I don't know about the comment, but he definitely kind of made it pretty clear that like while he listens to her, he doesn't like fully listen to her. So like he would probably do something like that to nudge her, especially if he could do it in a controlled environment in some way.
Mm.
Maybe they weren't going to actually kill them, uh, maybe somehow, I don't know how, but maybe he got their lifeless commands,
Or
and he
bribed
was able,
someone.
yeah. And so then, like he said, you know, kill everyone except her, and like, but they still have to show a sign of force that they're going to attack her, kind
I
of
mean,
idea.
again, like he was upset that the Idrian rebels engaged them. Maybe he like bribed someone to send them
Hmm.
on a raid, and they weren't supposed to
Yeah,
engage. And if they wouldn't have engaged, they wouldn't have been killing everyone, and it would have gone
exactly.
better. But still, maybe forced her into a scary situation,
Hmm.
and so maybe
Yeah,
things just
exactly.
went wrong in the situation.
Yeah, it's kind of makes it would make sense, but like I don't want to believe it because I don't want Dent to be that bad of a person.
Hmm.
I like Dent, so
Yeah.
I think Dent is cool.
And then we get the
Let's
last
say
little
the end of this
bit.
does not make this end of this does not make me like Vasher.
Yeah, the last little bit here with, as I said, there was a bit of the cliffhanger here,
Hmm.
which was, so yeah, so Vivenna goes back upstairs. She locks her room door and opens the drapes, and instantly sees Vasher with Nightblood on her balcony. Vasher states that she is causing a lot of trouble, and before Vivenna can scream, the drapes cover her mouth and neck. They choke her and wrap around her body, pinning her arms to her sides. Vivenna tries to thrash and eventually goes unconscious.
Bow chicka bow wow.
So, yeah, what do you think Basher is doing here? What do you think? Is he killing her? Is he
Nah,
like
Nah,
kidnapping her.
knocking her out? What is he doing?
I think
this
he's
is
gonna kidnap her.
this is the beginning of the training montage.
Mm, forced training montage.
Yes. So you see, this is the exact trigger that needed to happen, right? She accepted the fact that she needs to awaken. She'll be less resistant if Vasher tries to teach her, right?
I
And
mean, I don't know if if he's kidnapping her. I don't know if he'd be kidnapping her to train her.
eh,
He's
well,
he's
It
upset.
comes later.
well,
It
to
comes
be
later.
fair, he did say she's giving him a lot of problems. So what better way to not give him problems if it's to train her in his own way?
Mm.
Kind of.
I mean, he was
Uh,
debating last episode whether he was gonna kill her or not.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and
I did find it funny though. Like I was thinking when the fight was happening and all that with the guards, I was like, huh, maybe they'll die, and then Vasher will just have to come pick up the pieces.
oh no, um,
I mean, it would have. I mean, because we were talking about how what are they gonna do when Vasher inevitably goes there? Like, would they, you know, let bygones be bygones or fight each other? But like, it would kind of mitigate that whole problem if Dent, Tonkfa, Jules, and Claude were all dead. I mean,
You think Vasher's just gonna kill them all?
no, but I'm saying like in the fight, if they were like in story wise, narrative wise, like if in the story they had died, then of course now Vasher doesn't even have to worry about them. But
Mm.
highly unlikely since Dent.
You just cut out there, Mythic.
uh-oh.
Oh, god damn it.
Oh, you're on the wrong microphone now.
Am I back?
Yep, you're
Yep.
back.
Okay. I don't know what part I got cut off on, but
Damn. The training
Tenth is
montage.
like some god swordsman. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. God with a lowercase g. Also, on that because I meant to say something on that topic. When he says that, right? Does he say God or gods? What like plural?
Hoid? Gods, plural.
Yeah. Okay. So
Where
English
gods have
language.
died.
Yeah. English language. Plural gods are always lowercase unless beginning a sentence, unless it's a proper name of the god.
I think, though, in this book, though, gods have been
You
capitalized.
you know things,
I'm not saying I know
but
things. I'm saying that it is specifically in this book. I will say Brandon Sanderson is always very specific about capitalizing things that are important. Gods have always been capitalized except for in there. Awakening is capitalized, breath is capitalized, gods and returned are all capitalized in this book. Things that are related
gotcha.
to the magic system generally are capitalized.
I do that stuff for my own writing too.
Like in
Oh
all
yeah,
of his
yeah, yeah.
books,
So
things that
so
are
do I.
specifically
But
related and important
mhm.
generally
Yeah,
are capitalized.
I mean, if my players in my D&D game could look at my notes, they would see the same concept. Like
Yeah.
anything that I want to be stand out, like that this is a thing that links to this and this and this,
Mhm.
are usually capitalized.
Like
Like it,
uh,
yeah,
it's not like normally used how it's supposed to be.
yeah.
But
I do that a
yeah,
lot. I actually in because I took creative writing in school, they
That's what
try
I
to
want to be.
yeah, they try to get you not to do that as much because it's
Mm,
not correct. Like it's not the English language.
That's
Uh,
dumb.
because well, I mean, it is and isn't. Because well, when you're writing a book, it makes sense that you can do whatever you want. Like, but
yeah.
if you were like writing a paper, right? It's kind of could be marked off in an English class because, like I just said, uh, lowercase gods, if it's plural, and if it's a singular, it's always uppercase.
Yeah. Well, I think
Like,
Brandon generally specifically does it because he, in a lot of his magic systems,
mhm,
uses real words to represent other things. So, like, if you use the word awakeners or breath not capitalized, it'd be very hard to tell in some
yeah,
situations if they mean the magic type or the non-magical type.
hmm
Hmm.
So,
well,
like, he
yeah, that's what I'm
always
saying. In a book,
capitalized magic-based
in a book,
system.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like when
Especially in
you
fantasy
publish a book,
books. I
yeah,
feel like
I
it's
feel like
especially.
I hit that like God
I would
capitalizing on
find it funny. I would find it funny if his publisher was
Just
like, "Hey,
changed it.
by the no, well, no," it was like, "Hey, by the way, you're capitalizing these words that shouldn't be capitalized. Like it's in the middle of a sentence."
He's
And he
like,
was
I
like,
don't
"No, no, no,
care.
no, no, no." It's like, "No, no, 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 no. You got to understand. We have to capitalize them because
the
if we don't,
editor's like, nah,
people might think."
we're doing it
Yeah,
correct.
exactly. Like people would think that it was just an awakener, and that would be nothing if it was undercase.
Yeah. Yeah, so in all of his books, he's very specific about the capitalization, which is again why I wanted to point out that the gods were not capitalized there.
Imagine if they did
Interesting.
mess up, and
I mean, yeah. Uh-huh.
it's like Tong Fa took a breath with a capital B.
Hmm. But as I said, like I don't know if potentially because we don't really know about the gods of other civilizations here besides the returned gods. All we know is
Mhm.
Oster, and they don't refer to Oster just as god or a god. They always say Oster. So it's very potential that gods in regards to returned gods are always capitalized because they're magic based, but other gods are not. We don't know. Like, so he might
I
just be talking about like the random like gods other people believe in that aren't like the returned gods.
Mhm.
You don't know if it's like something extra
Now,
special or
now,
not.
now I have to go through this entire book and just find when they say gods with capitalized, and if they ever do without it. I mean, I do even just chapter 32. I can see where it says "leave the court of gods." Court and gods is both capitalized, but
Well, that's a place, so that would be capitalized anyways.
mhm. Well, no, it would, but in the same aspect, like, oh no, I guess yeah,
Well, because
because
it's a
of
proper noun.
never is, yeah, never of is never capitalized. So yeah, okay.
Yeah.
my brain hurts.
Anyways, so on to chapter
Don't
34. So
don't go into creative writing if that hurt your brain.
No, it's because both of you are talking like so much about it though.
Well,
sorry. We've gone on a
I
little
mean,
couple little rants in this
yeah,
episode.
I mean, my teacher definitely went into a long rant on why you don't capitalize words that are not supposed to be capitalized. So,
Anyways, chapter 34, we get Light Song's point of view, Mythic's favorite.
mm-hmm,
Light Song, so we're right back with when Siri just walked away, basically, after Hoyd.
mm-hmm.
So Light Song feels guilty as he watches Siri run away and seems surprised that she would be upset by the thought of the God King's death. He wondered if she
I
actually
mean,
had
she doesn't make
feelings.
it far, so.
Yeah, he wondered if she actually had feelings for the God King, but then considers her situation and thinks she must just be worried about what will happen to her if the God King dies, because obviously he has no idea about what their relationship is actually like. In his mind, it's just like she's been forced into this marriage and forced to like fuck him basically all the time until she has a kid. Like, generally, that wouldn't be the best situation. So he's like, I don't see why she would ever like this guy, which is
Are you
fair.
pregnant? All right, let's cut you open.
Yeah. So Light
Oh,
Song. So Lightsong listens to the priest debating below, and we learn that Nanrava, one of Stillmark the Noble's priests, who we've met previously, that normally argued against war with arguing in favor of it. Blushweaver then comes over, and Lightsong asks how she got to Nanrava, which she says she didn't, and she wishes he hadn't changed his mind so suddenly as it seems suspicious. They then talk about whether Blushweaver actually wants war, and Lightsong admits he doesn't think she does. So do you have any theories about why Nanrava has changed their opinion?
Somebody got to him.
Could you think got to him?
mm.
I don't know. Somebody.
You think
Somebody who also
Stillmark must
wants war.
also have changed his mind then, because he's arguing, I'm assuming, in favor of his own god. do you think,
Interesting.
Darkness?
Hold on. I'm trying to remember remember what's happening.
Yeah, because right after Siri gets choked out, you kind of lost
Me and
interest in
Vivenna?
the next chapter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
All you can think of is Vivenna, and you're like, I don't want to read about Siri and Light Song.
Exactly. Me, on the other hand, was like, "Ooh, light song. Who's this Vivenna person?
Uh,
It's fine, Darkness, if you don't have any thoughts on
Who
that.
do you think got to him? Darkness. Who shines the light in your face?
it was the monkey.
Who's the
And it
monkey?
was
The
the
drunk
monkey, the
monkey!
drunken monkey.
But yeah, also, do you really believe that Blush Weaver doesn't want war? Do you agree with Light Song? That she's
Mm.
just preparing, or do you think she actually wants war?
She's pressing words so hard. No, she wants war.
No, I don't know if she wants war. I think she wants something else. And I don't know what that is exactly yet, but it kind of
War.
sounds like power. No,
I
it
mean,
kind of sounds like she wants
she said
power.
previously that like she's worried that if there is war and the Idrians take over, that they're gonna lose their godhood, basically. Like they're not gonna be treated as gods anymore. And she loves being a goddess.
Yes, but
She wants to keep her
it doesn't
power.
make it just doesn't make sense to me. Oh, well, I mean, we haven't gotten there exactly yet, but it doesn't make sense to me when she's so bent on getting these lifeless commands and then changing them. So basically, so she's the only one with control.
Yes.
Uh, but like, why would you do that just if you just want or you just wanted war? Like
Mm,
she wants power, I think, and like maybe stability to stay in power. Because like it would be much easier to just say, okay, I get all these four gods on my side with lifeless commands, and then I have what I need for war. I'm prepared because
Oh,
all of them are ready.
mhm,
Why would you be the sole? Why would you have to be the sole person to have the commands? It
mm.
just doesn't make sense to me.
I, I'm guessing the reason they changed their mind, by the way, is just
Mm.
because of what happened in the slums. No.
Oh, you think they heard about what happened in the slums?
Yeah.
That's why they changed
Or
their mind.
or maybe what happened? Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, because that would make sense. Actually, yeah, heard about what happened with
Cause,
the princess. Mm.
cause, where is it? I literally just had it. Oh my god, where is it? Uh, Here we go. It says recent events make it clear that we cannot coexist with Idrians with any assurance of peace or security. So I'm assuming they're
So you
talking
think
about
the,
like
the
all the
coexisting is because of the what's happening in the slums?
yeah, all the chaos that's happening down there. I'm assuming it's because
So basically,
that's
Vivenna's
essentially
whole thing is working against her.
it. I think so.
I mean, we kind of
Honestly.
already figured that out, but yeah, like
But at
she
this
doesn't.
point she's not trying to stop the war, she's trying to make it happen.
I mean, I think she's just preparing for
I
it
think,
when it does
yeah.
happen.
She's
Like
kind of at the point where she's like the war is like most of
it's
the characters
inevitable.
who are pro war at this point are like the war is inevitable. We must prepare.
Yeah.
Like Blushweaver's like the war is inevitable. We must prepare. And Vivenna's like the
Hmm.
war is inevitable. We must prepare.
Yeah, and they're doing what they think will help in the no will benefit their side in the war.
Yes.
So like it makes sense, but like I said, the only thing that doesn't make sense about what she is doing, what Flush Fever is doing, is the fact that she seems to want sole custody of all of the commands,
Mhm.
like all of the lifeless army. She wants on at her own beck and call, and
Yeah.
that
Well,
doesn't make sense to me if you
I
just start preparing,
we get into it a little bit actually in this my next paragraph of notes, but basically she says she's worried about infighting if like
which
she doesn't
doesn't
have all
make
the
sense.
commands, and she wants to be certain that won't happen even if it's not likely, because Light Song's just like, did you really think that would happen? And she's like, I don't
Okay,
know.
so
Mhm.
if that was the case, right?
Mhm.
Why delete the codes that were already given to you? Why make it you sole custody? Like,
Because if
if
someone
you have
else, I'm
custody
assuming,
of them,
has the commands, then they could, if they change their mind, they could also use that command to make the lifeless
well,
stop.
I mean, they stated that like you like like one person's commands would be like the top, and then the other ones would be like still be able to do so. Tell them stuff.
Well, I think that's what they're
So
giving her. Is they're giving her the main command, and the main command
yeah,
can override everything else.
Yeah, that's
eh,
yeah.
but as I'm saying, so but why make it so like nobody else has that unless you're attempting to give yourself sole custody and power of this entire army?
Well, that's what I'm
Like,
saying. That's what she's saying. Is like if someone changes their mind, and they also have the command, they can go back and forth trying to command the lifeless, and the lifeless undo nothing.
but you could give them a lower command though.
But it overwrites it if they still have the main one.
Yeah, so if even if they give lower commands, it's still
Yeah.
doing
But I
stuff.
mean, she doesn't seem to be even giving the like satisfaction of allowing them to still be able to, control their lifeless if they needed to.
Oh, I see what you're
Like
saying. You're saying she changes the main command
she's,
but gives them the name of a different command to
I mean,
still give them
she's
stuff.
not like he stated, did you delete it? And she said yes. Like, if the command is deleted, are you giving the other people like a lower command, or are you just not letting them
I'm
basically
assuming they
use
have
their
no command
lifeless?
anymore. I'm assuming they have
Yeah.
nothing.
So that's what I'm saying. So you're taking sole custody, which means that
Hmm,
like,
Well, that's what she
I,
wants, obviously.
I'm taking the
like,
kids.
yeah, I know,
Taking
right?
the kids for full custody.
I keep saying it that way just for that exact idea, but like it's just it seems weird. Like I understand the reasoning they give four different gods commands of four different parts of the army because you have like that balance, that checks and balances thing. If
Hmm.
you give commands all of if one person can command all of the lifeless, it makes them too powerful. Like
Hmm.
I understand her trying her reasoning to like or her way of explaining it, her reasoning, but it seems fishy to me that like she's not even allowing these people to use their commands.
Mm.
Like they have no authority anymore. Like
Yeah.
it would if she was
Hmm.
actually wanting to ally with them, like sure, take like the master command, but like at least let them feel like they have that control, like something. Let basically give them a rope and let them hang themselves.
Uh,
Like if they're gonna betray you, they're gonna betray you. But like they could have betrayed you already. They could have just not given you the right commands.
yep.
That and
Yeah.
I kind of want to see what this kid's command like he wanted her to side with him in all the
In a
meetings. I kind of
vote.
want to see that. Yeah, I kind of want to see that meeting.
I think it'd probably be this meeting. I'm assuming they go over multiple stuff during the meeting. So I'm assuming that's
Yeah.
this meeting currently
I
that
just
they're
I
at.
just want to know if she sticks to what she says that she's gonna do.
Yeah, well, who we don't know yet.
Hmm.
I'm
I
assuming
mean,
Hopefinder's gonna come after her if she doesn't. He's gonna be
what
like,
is he gonna
bitch.
what's he gonna do? She already took the commands away.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's a very one-sided thing right now. Like he has no power. He can't take it back now.
Yeah, he has to rely on her word. And I mean, the whole point was that like Light Song was also there to witness, and her priests were there to witness. So like, I think it really makes you like look. I think like your how you look to the other priests and gods is really important to them.
Possibly. I don't know. I feel like if I was what was it? What's that kid's name?
Hope Finder.
Hope Hope Finder. Yeah. If I was Hope Finder, I would have given like I would have had a second like lower command and been like, yeah, this is the main command. So I have the other main command still.
Oh shit. Gotta follow. Oops.
Oh, nice. But he's following you? How dare?
um.
Don't they know we're podcasting?
But yeah, so so we go into Blush Fever then notes that yeah, she's changed the commands, which we talked about both Hopefinder and Mercy Star's lifeless. She also mentioned she's annoyed with All Mother. We also learned that All Mother is the goddess of matrons and families, which I think you guys had kind of guessed based on her name. uh Blush Weaver states that she should have been given lifeless commands and wiggles her chest. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and they go back to why Blushweaver is annoyed with Allmother, which is because Allmother won't give over her lifeless commands. Blushweaver states that she is worried about infighting and wants to be certain it won't happen, even if unlikely. Lightsong then states that he will talk to Allmother, which Blushweaver doesn't think is a good idea since Allmother does not like Lightsong. Yeah, do you think Allmother will talk to Lightsong and give him her
No.
lifeless commands? No.
I hope he get yeah, no. I actually do. I hope he gets it. I hope he
Mm.
gets it and then doesn't give him to Blushweaver. So like basically it's a half and half thing.
Because yeah, Lightsong still hasn't given his commands to Blushweaver.
Nope. Mm-mm. But she doesn't seem like that upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's gonna end up helping her.
No, I don't either. That's what I'm saying. Hopefully they have a half and half, and then half the lifeless can fight each other. You know?
Yeah. So then both the gods pay attention to the priest below again. Lightsong also notes Ciri a ways away, listening as well. Blushweaver eventually notices Ciri and stares at her with dislike, causing Lightsong to change the topic and ask about the tunnel system. Blushweaver states that the
Mm.
tunnels are for storage, and she declined to have hers linked to the other tunnels. Do you think the tunnels are just for storage? And
Nope.
yeah, do you think the tunnels are just for storage?
Nope.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. And so
I do like her reasoning though. I
yeah,
didn't want to hear the digging.
yeah. And so if you guys believe that the tunnels are not just for storage, do you think Blushweaver knows anything else about the tunnels that she isn't telling Lightsong? Or do you think she's naive to potentially anything else down there?
I don't believe this woman is naive at all.
So
I think she's conniving.
you think she knows something else and she's not sharing it?
Hmm. Just like I think she's not going to be as true to her word to Hope.
What do you think, Darkness?
Yeah. She, I, I don't think I would trust her at all. So I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't really know why Lightsong trusts her. It must be just some intuition for
Well, I
some
mean,
reason he gets from
he
her.
does state he doesn't technically trust her, that he's only doing this so that he can protect Siri.
Yeah.
So,
Well, there's times when he does feel like she's telling the truth. Like when she said she didn't want to go to
mhm.
war, and I think there was other times like where he's just like, she seems sincere. And I'm like, does she? Does she
Man,
though?
what if she
Mm.
is a reincarnation of that whatever the guy's name was, the evil person, the evil awakening.
Khaled?
uh,
Strife lover?
yeah, yeah.
You think he like re-returned?
We
Mm.
returned.
Or well,
Or just stayed?
like oh yeah, not even that. Like a reincarnation, is in like, I mean, I watch a lot of One Piece. Okay, so I think of these theories like not they're not exactly the same person, but like
Mm.
they still hold the same beliefs in some aspect, and it's as if they were the same person. So like Khaled maybe had the same idea, like I need to gather a bunch of power, and then that power obviously, like I said, and all power corrupts. He became a little more evil, and his way, like, because every bad guy believes that they're doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean,
like
Denth has gone into that a
maybe,
while ago. He had a whole
yeah,
thing about
exactly.
how everyone believes they're on the right side.
Yeah, so like she believes she's on the right side, but maybe she's going about it wrong because it's going to end up corrupting her. But
Mm-hmm.
like, it just, I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way when she made the comment that she didn't like, she had a big issue with with the mother, with all mother, and like sh I deleted all the other two people's commands, but kept my own. Like, okay, so now you have half the entire force. You're not happy with that. You want more,
Yeah.
and like you're aggravated that one person didn't want to give up their power. Like,
Yep.
she seems like she's already getting corrupted.
Yeah.
But I do believe that she's not naive. I do believe she's probably, if she doesn't know exactly what it is, I think she has a,
Idea.
yeah, an inkling.
Mhm.
Doesn't seem She doesn't seem like somebody who would allow something like that to be there without knowledge of what it is.
Mm.
And then
Uh,
the fact that I don't believe that it's just the digging that caused her to not want the tunnels.
you think she didn't want to like people to be able to get like in and out of her palace or something? The
Hmm.
tunnels.
Something like that. Yeah.
We still don't know what Vasher found under there.
He hasn't said it yet. So
We
That's
haven't
true.
had a. I don't think we've had a Vasher. Oh no, we did have a brief Vasher point of view.
yeah, when he suffocated Vivenna.
Well, no, that wasn't his point of
I
view. We had a
know.
brief point of view when he said he was gonna potentially kill her while
He
watching her.
suffocated Vivenna.
Um. So
She's
yeah.
dead, and now we will never have to worry about her side again.
Yes.
Now it's just gonna be Siri and Vasher point of views.
No,
Nah.
Siri, Vasher, Lightsong,
I'm sorry, Light Song too.
and
I, I was
hopefully Dent.
I was gonna say that's when the other sister comes in.
Oh, Fafin.
Hmm.
I almost called her falafel.
Oh
Falafel.
my gosh.
That's how we're calling her. Falafel now.
Falafel.
I
Alright.
struggle with her name so bad.
I
Fafin.
struggle with everybody's names, okay,
I've
including
noticed.
areas.
If you
Including
struggle with
areas.
these names, you're gonna struggle so much harder in the next book. These names are so much easier than the Lantra's names.
Yeah, wonderful. Actually,
Uh,
you know what's gonna be funny is I probably won't struggle with those names because they're more unique.
you're gonna find it so much easier because they don't have actual words in their names.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, so we
I
switched
forgot
to
her name already.
Fafin.
Poof.
There you go.
Falafel?
I keep
You
thinking
forgot
falafel.
you forgot Falafel's name? Oh my god.
Falafel. You gonna
It's
take Falafel's
Falafel.
hand in marriage? You gonna force her into
Yes.
Ah,
marriage with you?
I don't know if that man really wanted her hand in marriage or if he just wanted to be like, yeah, I have her hand in marriage and now
I think
she'll
he's supposed
talk
to
to me.
marry a princess, so it'll make him
I know, right?
powerful.
I hear Siri is good on that.
Anyway, so we switch to Siri's point of view.
Mhm.
She listens to the priest and contemplates how, like Light Song had said, she can't do anything, and both her husband and homeland are in danger. Uh, the talk, the talk of the priest below then mentioned an Idrian agent said to be a princess. Siri does not believe this, as she doesn't think Fafin or Vivenna would come to Tetelier, which obviously she's wrong about. Siri then contemplates that she doesn't think Vivenna would have gotten through to Susebron or Lightsong, and that just like Siri hadn't been a good choice, neither would Vivenna have been. So how do you think the story would have gone if Vivenna had been sent to the God King and Siri had been the one off to save her sister instead?
She'd already be pregnant.
I they'd already be dead.
You think Vivenna would be dead?
I think so.
I don't know about that. I
I
think
don't. I feel like
I think she would have been the same idea. Like she would have figured it out, but instead of trying to, because like if Ravenna remember like does know her history. Like she's paid attention in class,
Yeah,
so or at
she
least it
followed
was
all her
stated that way.
tutor stuff. She was the
Yeah,
good.
so like she would have known more, and I feel like she would have been knowledgeable about it. But in the same vein, I think she would have been like, "This is my duty to have a child, so I'm just gonna do that."
Yeah,
And then,
she probably would have actually tried to have a kid, but I feel like she might have
uh,
still interacted with some of the gods. So I think her goal was still to try and delay or put like keep the war from happening. So I think she would have just talked to maybe different gods. Like she might not have hung out with Lightsong, but she might have tried to get involved with other gods in the
oh
court.
my
yeah.
god, I could totally see her talking to Blushweaver.
You're right.
I could, the woman who has to wear dresses cannot wear pants. Like, girl, you would totally vibe with this woman with fucking Blushweaver. Like, Jesus.
I don't know. Blushweaver's pretty against the princesses. I don't know if Blushweaver would have wanted to
Yeah,
talk to Vivenna. Vivenna might have been
I feel like
talking to
with that.
more like random gods like Stillmark and fucking
Who's
who.
still Mark?
Stillmark was the god of Nanorva, the guy who was switched sides randomly that we were talking about earlier. He's like one
Oh yeah,
random
because that was
god.
just
We don't
that
really
was
know.
just
I
the
don't think
introduction.
Stillmark much. We just know his priest.
What's the one really sexy one that walked by?
I don't think we ever learned what god that was.
That's
Oh,
what I wanted to
I
know.
don't.
yeah,
I don't know if
you
we
want to know
ever
his?
learned who that god
You don't
was. I
know.
don't even think they gave us colors, so we can't even like try and look it up. It just said he was
I'm gonna go look
shirtless.
it up. I'm gonna go look it up. I feel like
Don't
they
look.
did give us
Don't.
colors.
I don't think they did.
I'm gonna go look it back in the sections.
You can go look back in the book. If they give colors, I can try and look it up for you.
Okay, I'll go look it up myself. Gotcha, thanks.
No, don't look it up. You can look in the book.
I'm gonna look up all the gods
No.
in Warbreaker, every one of them.
Anyways, so Blushweaver then comes up to Siri. Fuck, this part makes me hate Blushweaver so much more.
I
Blushweaver
told you
Me
I
comes
don't like
too.
her. She's a
Me
cunt.
too.
so Blushweaver comes up to Siri and asks about the Idrian agents. How did you want to Siri's sisters? Siri says that she's the only princess here. After introducing herself, Blushweaver threatens Siri to stay away from Lightsong and not taint him. He's one of the few good gods left. Blushweaver then calls
Somebody's
Siri a
jealous.
Blushweaver then calls Siri a slut and to stay out of Lightsong's bed and leaves. Which I think just leaves Siri like stunned. She's like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Yeah, a slut just called me a slut. Oh my god.
So yeah, what are your thoughts on Blushweaver's threats to Siri?
I mean, I already didn't like Blushweaver, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little nice that she's trying to defend Lightsong as one of the few good gods left, but besides that one little comment, the whole conversation is just like, "Fuck you."
Like, not even with that one little comment, you're jealous of a man who will show you no affection. Come on,
He doesn't
can't
want to
be that
fuck you,
naive.
Blushweaver. Give up.
And you can't be that naive. Let's go. Come on. Like,
She got friend
you
zoned
know,
and she doesn't want to accept
maybe
it.
exactly. Maybe. Oh shit. Are you telling me she's a simp?
She is a simp.
Oh
She's a light song simp.
my god, she's trying to white knight. How dare she?
She is.
Maybe she was a what's it called? A chin beard? No, what's
Neckbeard.
the word? Neckbeard. Yeah, maybe she was neckbeard before she became blush weaver. Yep, that's it.
Do you have any other thoughts, Darkness, on Blushweaver and Siri's conversation?
Nah, y'all handled the smack talk for me.
Yeah, she mean. She mean. I don't like her. I don't like her. She's gonna come out like it's gonna come out that she's like what her plan actually is or something, and I'm gonna be like, oh man, now I really like her.
Just gonna love her by the end of the book.
Yeah, because she's gonna probably be like this person who was like, I was gathering the forces to like do my bidding, and now I'm gonna actually not really start a war or something, and I'm be like, oh my god, you were so good. Oh my god, yes, queen.
So we then time skip to Siri getting into her bath for the evening.
Oh
And
god.
as Siri relaxes into the bath, the servants cut her hair off, as they do every night under Siri's instructions. Because I think like the first night that she was there, she's like, "It's easier for you not to detangle it. Just cut it off, and I'll regrow it."
Yep.
Bluefingers then shows up, and
God, I wish I had that power.
Siri quickly hides her body under the water. Bluefinger seems annoyed, saying he has daughters twice Siri's age.
I don't.
Uh,
Which is weird.
I was gonna say I don't think that makes it okay.
Not
I
at all.
I
Like,
don't think it does, yeah, because it's different from like I don't think he's seen his daughters naked since they were probably kids, and you had to bathe them. Like
all right, I'm
it's
sorry. I'm sorry.
different.
I'm sorry.
Anyways,
You are gonna tell me that have like this man. I'm not really not talking to y'all. I'm more talking to Blue Fingers. You're gonna tell me that because you have daughters that are older, you don't understand that maybe they don't want you to see them naked?
it's a little silly.
Like, come on, man.
It's not like she's like prepubescent. Like it's not like she's a kid. She's like a fully grown woman. Once you hit a certain age, your dad should not be seeing you naked anymore. And
Exactly.
and like older men should not be seeing you naked unless you want them to.
Yeah. I mean, like now granted, I also kind of side with him as well in the fact that like she's been living here for however long, months or something like that. And like she's constantly dropping her dress and walking into Susabran's chambers.
No, she
Like
drops it after she
that's
gets in there.
yeah, well now. But
No,
like
she always
well
has.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
always been
yeah,
dropped
yeah, yeah.
after she
No, no,
gets
no.
in the room.
Yeah, no, I meant like she's dropping her dress in front of Susabran and like being naked in front of him. Like at some point you would kind of get to the point where like you're
I
not
think she's also
as
been wearing a lot less modest dresses now. I think wearing more like
yeah.
Yeah.
low cut and like stuff
But
that
yeah,
like
like
shows her
she's
calves.
her cleavage. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Uh
cleavage and her like legs get shown
yeah,
now.
but like you would think though like she would get to a point where she kind of understands that like this is kind of how Halidon people live. Like
They're not as modest,
maybe
and
I'm
also
not
like
yeah.
I think he said before, like you're so far above me. What does it matter if I see you naked?
That doesn't help at
I
all
yeah,
in my
it doesn't
opinion.
really make sense to me, but that was one of their
Like
points
if
at one point.
are you telling this man, are you telling me that you think that if you went and saw like I'm trying to think of a real world situation. You went and saw like the first no yeah the first lady or the president's wife.
Mhm.
You saw her naked. You think that that wouldn't be a big deal? Like, come on, man. They're above you, yes. Like that doesn't mean that you're like so lowly that like you could just see them naked. Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It would make more sense the other way around.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
above you in status. You're not. I can see you naked.
I, I
Like that
I
make
think
more
it's
sense.
supposed to be like I can't take advantage of you because like people are here and like I'm not
It
allowed
would be
to.
his tattoo. So.
I don't know. It's weird, but anyways, he
I
seems to
mean,
he seems to be annoyed with the whole thing.
yeah.
But anyways, the servants all upon call then begin to splash the water a bit to make noise so that they can talk without being heard from outside ears.
Wouldn't
Bluefing
the splashing be worse?
Yeah, that's a Syria. She's like Just, is that
Well,
not gonna matter? Like, are people not
I
gonna
don't
think
think
that's weird?
I
He's
don't
like, they
think
look
it's the
down
first
on
time
us.
they
It's
do that,
fine.
right?
Hmm?
It's not the first time they do that, right?
No,
Well,
they
no,
did it
they
before
made
when
bubbles
Tinker
last
fell
time,
in.
so her body couldn't be seen
Oh, right,
last time. This
right.
is
Now
just
they're
they're
splashing
making
around for
noise this
yeah.
I
time.
just
Now they're
remember
splashing
them
around.
splashing a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is
So,
uh go on.
Bluefingers and asks what information Siri has for him. Siri asks about what happens when a new God King takes over the throne and plays along like she knows information she doesn't. We learn that Bluefingers
Mm,
is worried because whenever a new God King takes over, they replace all of the servants, which will leave Bluefingers and the serving girls without jobs. Bluefingers then mentions that apparently the last God King wasn't even in the city that was cured of its disease, and there are rumors that giving up their breath to their heir kills them. Siri then tells Bluefingers that she's been talking to the God King and that things might not have to go like that, as he's a good man. Siri then makes a deal that Bluefingers will get her and Susebron out of the palace if things don't turn out well, and she lies and says Susebron was the one to tell her to speak to him. So, yeah, what do you think about that conversation in general?
I mean, I think Siri's getting real good at this lying thing.
um, so genuinely, she was just like low key the, recapping the information she had to make sure that she was right, right?
Yeah, well, I think she was also trying to get out
Yes.
of like what exactly like the danger as well that Bluefinger thought was around was, and like get some more information of him. But yeah, so we learned that like his big worry is that like him and all of the pawn call women are gonna be like kicked out basically, and like I think it's just like the Idrians, it's hard for them to get work,
Hmm.
so like they can't keep their job when Susebron's gone.
Hmm.
And obviously he's worried that the giving up their breath to the air kills them as well, which is I think what Mythic and stuff was saying. Um, which is that yeah, so like he's worried that like if he dies and doesn't have a chance to stay, then like we're fucked.
Yeah, it is interesting that he doesn't seem to know either.
Yeah, it seems like no one really properly knows, and I think he's like said that like he doesn't get really interact. He doesn't get a lot of knowledge because he's just from Pankal. He's not like a trusted
Mm.
priest type thing. He doesn't always get a lot of the information. He mostly knows stuff from just being around for most. I think he says all of Susebron's life, pretty much.
Yep.
Um, So yeah, and also, what do you guys think about the fact that the previous God King potentially was not even in the city that he potentially healed? Are you surprised by that potential thing?
No, because I already knew it
Yeah.
was a fake. Like,
Hmm.
Darkness.
I don't even think they healed him. You know?
I
You
just
know what I
got
mean?
some.
Like
Maybe I
I
just
don't
got
think
some
he was like
medicine
that.
and be like, hey, this is a good excuse to get rid of the God King. Look, we cured them. Maybe they gave them the
Yeah.
disease in the first place. And like, oh
Uh,
look, a whole
I think he.
town is sick.
I mean,
I,
even if like if it's out of city, who's gonna like
Even know.
refute what you said? Yeah, who's gonna refute what you said? Like
Yeah.
you could easily be like, oh yeah, he saved a city. Don't give the name of the city, but he saved that city.
Yeah.
It's just yeah, it's ridiculous. That's why I don't believe it.
Yeah. So that was all of our chapters for this week. So I have just a couple overview questions. So first of all, do you think Ciri will have to rely on this backup plan with Bluefingers to get her and Zeus to run away from the palace, or do you think they're
hmm
going to be able to figure something else out?
I think I think they're definitely gonna have to run away from the palace at some point because I doubt Cicerone's gonna want to stay still if he finds out of what's happening.
I mean, he still thinks his priests are good men. He seems pretty
Yeah.
determined that he wants to like, I'll be
Yeah, but with
fine. I'm not going to tire of you. I'm not going to give away my breath to my son. Everything's fine.
yeah, but with how things are going, I wouldn't be surprised if he catches on. You know,
Mm,
I don't think he's gonna be like that sort of like childish naive all
yeah.
the time.
I mean, he's already growing as a person. Siri noted.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Getting smarter.
Do you think Mythic? Do you think they're gonna have to rely on that backup plan?
No, not at all.
You think they're gonna figure something else out?
Yep, I think they're gonna start ruling this entire city with an iron fist.
Together, hand in hand.
I'm
Mm,
kind of hoping that somehow magically he is able to speak at some point, maybe grow
mm,
a tongue back, or like through a different way he's able to like maybe speak through an object as an awakener or something,
mhm.
and is going to be able to like start actually kind of giving like a little more talk instead of just writing everything down.
Yeah.
But if he stays writing things down, it would be very interesting to see like him write, write on a notepad or whatever, like a parchment, and then hand it to Siri, and then Siri has to delegate it out. That would be interesting too. But
So they have like an assembly thing happen at the court of gods, and you just see Suzerain handing her notes, and her just like, "Hear ye, hear ye."
no, I mean, like fire the priests, and she could be the person that actually, talks to you and listens to you.
Mhm.
Imagine if he's just like up there in front of all of them, just points at Siri, tells her to come up.
Hmm. Yeah, and then they have to put the ropes around her and float her up to the seat too.
Yep,
Or he just
That
doesn't
would
go
be,
up; he just sits next to her, and they're like, "Oh shit, what
yeah,
do we do now?"
yeah, exactly. I mean, he has power. Like, I don't know why he doesn't think he does, but he does. So,
Anyways, my next question was, do you think Parlin and Jules are gonna get together?
mm,
I don't think so. I feel like one of them is gonna die regardless.
You think one's gonna die?
Yeah,
I think they're going to be a little more romantic with one another, but I kind of am in that same boat that I think that I'm leaning towards Jules dying,
yeah.
Mm,
and more giving like so that she gives the command of Claude
Claude.
to, yeah, to either Parlin or Vivenna.
Mm.
Uh,
I feel like it would be unlikely she would give it to Buffett, at least at their current
well,
relationship.
yeah,
Well,
at the current point, but like if for some reason down the line they were to kind of make up enough that like she could see Vivenna being like the person who should be commanding Claude, maybe then she'll give it to her because it like on her deathbed or something, like she's dying with a wound that she's not going to survive, and
Hmm.
she's like, "Here, this is the command to whatever," or maybe Vivenna's the only person there. Um,
what if
but
the rest die first?
well, no, I don't know about the whole like everybody dying. I did think that with the whole battle that was happening, but I don't think that's as possible. But I do definitely think that I think they're gonna be romantic. Can't remember names. Uh, Jules and God damn it,
Parlin?
thank you, Harlan are gonna be romantic enough, like with each other. I don't know how far, but just romantic enough that like if she were to die or if he were to die, it would greatly impact either one of them.
Mm.
Um,
So at least like
but
flirting and potentially like the start
yeah,
of a relationship type thing.
and then I think something's gonna happen. Maybe it'll be just Siri and her in a room, and she's dying, and like she's like, somebody needs the command. Here we go, and gives it
Mm.
to her. Kind of either reluctantly or just in general. Like maybe they have a better relationship at that point.
You know
Hmm.
what would be crazy?
What?
What if all of them die except for Ravenna, like right, her group, right?
Mm.
And she turns them all into lifeless.
Oh jeez.
Mm,
That'd
I'd
be
hope
honestly cool in my eyes, but
Would
it would be.
it?
It would be pretty interesting though.
yeah, think about it. What if she gets like driven insane and she's like, "Fuck, everyone's dead. They helped me so much, and all
Vivenna
Here's all my
becomes the
life
next
after
with.
all this."
Khaled. Khaled the Usurper 2.0.
I mean, hmm, I don't know how far we're gonna go down that road, but maybe. She's also got a lot of power, so maybe when she starts using awakening power, she'll start actually wanting it too.
Hmm. So yeah, my other question was pretty much already answered because that was just the what do you think Vash is gonna do with Vivenna, but we kind of discussed that already. Which was I think you guys thought she was gonna be kidnapped, not killed or anything.
No, I said
It'd be
kidnapped. Darkness said montage.
Yeah.
Well, she's gonna have to be kidnapped
Well, I think Darkness had
Uh,
kidnapped, but then like they get like a
montage.
into a
I said a
mentor
forced montage.
relationship.
Yeah.
Montage.
Yeah. So our next episode, you'll be happy to hear, is 5 chapters, not 4.
Whoa, so
So,
Cliffhanger.
many.
hmm?
Cliffhanger.
I
I'm
don't know.
waiting for that one cliffhanger you were talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, the one that you're gonna have to read on stream. You said.
Yeah, that's 2 episodes from now. So not this one, not this one coming up, but the one after.
Okay, so Darkness, me and you, we're gonna have to read all the way to that point. All right,
No.
okay.
So this is, yeah, so episode 9 is going to be chapters 35, 36, 37, 38, and 39. That will be all of the chapters next time. Do you guys think
Yes.
we're going to get a Vivenna Vasher chapter next time, or are we going to just, we're just not going to see them for a while?
Hopefully in these 5 chapters. Hopefully in these 5 chapters we get a Vasher thing.
You
Like
get
God,
nothing, just cliffhanger forever.
I don't know about forever. It can't be forever because it has to.
Ima-
Some part of this book has to end there. But
Till the
Imagine
very
if
last
all
episode.
imagine if all we get is Vivenna returning like fully armored with
yeah, at
sword
the
with,
end,
with
very
Egbert.
end of the game. Yeah, the very end of this book is like, here you go. Here's Vivenna,
With
badass Vivenna, who's been training for months.
Imagine and it just have fallen. Siri and everyone else are dead. She's standing there like ready for battle.
Oh my gosh.
I will break this war.
But yeah, so that's it for next time. We'll discuss in chat what day we're gonna record. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you everyone who's been listening on Spotify. We really appreciate it.
Bye. Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Bye, Siri.
Christmas.